didn't watch the whole thing. It was on TikTok.
Hey, Gabby, are you MAGA?
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, no, Gabby, why would you support such a train wreck of a presidency?
So I kind of think it's a little bit bullshit for you guys to assume that he's like the worst thing for women.
I don't assume it. I have evidence. I have reason. Maybe the fact that he's been adjudicated to have raped the woman, and then once that jury made its determination, he called for her imprisonment. Shit, maybe he doesn't care about women. Maybe when he instructed the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, which has now violated the human rights of 66 million American women and has caused 60 pregnant rape victims per day to be denied access to abortion, he doesn't care about women. Maybe when he boasted to Howard Stern about
No,
walking
I
into the
don't
changing rooms.
agree
One moment, let me
with
cook.
abortion at
Let me
all.
let me cook. Let me cook.
So,
Maybe when he boasted about walking into the changing rooms of half-naked teenage girls at Miss Teen USA, and he was acting as if it was this cool thing he was doing as like a 45-year-old man. Maybe he doesn't care about women. Maybe when he sexualized a 10-year-old girl, doesn't care about women. When he hit on his own daughter, doesn't care about women. When he's cheated on 3 of his wives, one with a porn star, doesn't care about women.
but those are, I would say, not like his policies. He might not be a great
Man,
human
you thinking
being.
of
Like, I
okay.
don't want to be friends with him or, date or marry him or whatever that is. Like, anything
Or like
relating
want them
to.
around your child, or to be, like a teacher, or let them legally immigrate into the country, or let them be around anyone that you care about, right? But like his policy, like, could you name 2 of his policies that you like?
I liked how he supported immigration with, I think it's the H-1B visa, maybe the work visa that allowed anybody in STEM or um, with a U.S.
Oh,
Uh,
surely. So then you
No
degree
one,
must.
no one
to.
disagrees.
So then,
We don't disagree with that, of
So then
course.
you must absolutely fucking hate the fact that he has now revoked the ability for any international student to go to Harvard to get an education, right?
I have heard a little bit about that. I personally have not done enough like research to debate what's been going on with that. I do think that the college education system for public and private universities, the professors are definitely driven by a liberal agenda, and you see it every day that you
What
are in
what
school. And I've
liberal agenda? I'm confused. You mean facts?
no, so I went to um, a private university at one point, and then I changed majors to engineering. So I had to go to a different school because it's my original school did not have engineering. And when I went to the second university, it was a public university. Um, and one of the things that I experienced was being in a male dominated classroom setting, which was something new for me. Not really a big deal until it was magnified by the professors. And mind you, magnified by female professors who everybody in the program joked were DEI hires because they were almost
Can you
um
please land the plane?
I'm
sure.
really
Okay,
confused.
point. Okay, case in point is being asked pronouns out of an entire room of men, and I do not look anything like a man, nor do I look like I need to clarify my
So let me
pronouns.
get this straight. Just fuck education because they asked you for your pronouns.
No, I'm
No one,
saying
no one
no, this
looks
is
like they
one
need to
point. This is
clarify
one
their
point.
program.
On
Hold up.
top of that,
What are you talking about?
then being constantly pitted against the males in my classroom by other female professors,
I'm so confused. What's going
only
on?
being taught
I'm so
like
sorry. So
their
what's the curriculum?
opinions.
What was the curriculum that your female professors taught that pitted you against the men?
What liberal agenda? Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then if you can't answer this, then I'm gonna ask you something else. But I do want to give you like one
I'm
last
not
try here.
saying the curriculum. I'm saying any conversations that they had that were not relating to the curriculum was always like very anti-Republican conservative or
Okay,
anything that wasn't
like what?
LGBT.
Could you just give me an example?
Okay, let me think. I'm trying to think because after, can't think of anything specific. I just know that I would come home and talk to my roommates or my family about the
Okay,
situation that
okay.
I was in.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Okay.
My sister's done the same thing. Okay, my sister is becoming more progressive, I'd say, but she's still conservative. Okay, she's just kind of gotten to a point where she doesn't like Trump anymore, but she's still pretty anti-progressive, anti-liberal. You know what I mean? And I'd hear her talk to me, talk to my family a lot about complaining of the liberal agenda in her school. All right, but this like liberal agenda was just like basic human decency. This liberal agenda was facts of reality. This liberal agenda was empathy. This
What
liberal
do you mean
like
by facts of reality?
facts that like just like actual curriculum. Like you think it's like a liberal agenda to talk about how like gay people exist. Oh, guess what? You know,
Or, like,
fact of
vaccines are
reality.
effective.
You know, it's a liberal agenda to say that vaccines are effective. Guess what? Fact of reality. You know what I mean? Listen,
So I have no problem
can we
with
talk
like
about something
gay
a little bit?
people existing, but
Okay.
when you're told you're wrong for asserting an opinion in a
Oh.
um
Well, what's your opinion?
Yeah, what's your opinion? We'll tell you whether or not you're wrong if you tell you the opinion.
Yeah, that's right. you're
okay,
right.
so here's something I did remember, and this was back, I don't know,
No, can you
2019,
tell us your opinion
2020.
on gay people?
I don't really care like if you're gay or lesbian. I have no problem
But,
with the gays.
okay. Well, let's not
Okay,
call gay people the
but-
gays.
The
One second.
gays in
One second.
general, as if
whoa,
you
whoa,
are
whoa, whoa, whoa,
anything
whoa,
Say-
hey, hey,
I-
whoa, Gabby.
That's just a crazy.
Can we not call gay people the gays?
Yes,
Like,
seriously.
okay,
they refer to themselves as that.
Okay, well, gay people are well within their rights to refer to gay people however they'd like to because they're gay people. Okay, however, okay, when we got some conservative straight white woman that's like, oh, the gays, you know, like the first thing that pops in my head is, you know, like the same individuals in which have been historically oppressing gay individuals, not only in America but on the global stage, taking away their rights and driving them to suicide since the dawn of time. You know what I mean? Also, you've never said the straights before.
I have actually. I think it's kind of funny.
Really? Really? You've said that
Yes.
before?
Ironically.
Ironically, there you go. You didn't say that ironically, did you?
Because what else am I supposed to, there's too many terms
Gay
that
people.
I'm not going
how,
to.
how about this? How about this? Gay people.
Okay, sure. I will call them gay people
Whoa.
then. That's fine.
Whoa. That
I'm
one
not
was,
going to say, I don't intend to be disrespectful by saying that. And that was not my intention.
Okay,
I
we
really, truly did
corrected
not
it.
intend to be an asshole for no reason.
Now,
But I do have a problem
What's your opinion?
with
What do you have a problem with?
sexuality being a conversation with young children.
Okay, it's
I
not.
don't think young children should be talking about sexuality at all.
Did you know it's not at all?
how are they?
I just want to clarify that. It's not. Like the liberal agenda teaching young children about gay people, like what we see is like some people have a mom and a dad, some people have two moms, and some people have two dads. When you were growing up, when you were a young
I'm not
child,
talking about
was
that.
there
I'm
anything
talking
sexual
about-
about family structures?
I'm not talking about that. I am talking about teachers having gay pride flags in their classroom in young, as in elementary school classrooms.
The pride flag
That
is
being a
has
question-
nothing to do with sexuality. I'd like to make it clear. The pride flag has absolutely nothing to do with sexuality. The pride movement has absolutely nothing to do with sexuality. The LGBTQ
But is it not the
plus.
gay pride?
Listen. The reason why we have a pride flag, the reason why we have a pride movement is not because gay people are gay. Okay? It's because gay people are oppressed. Boom. Holy fuck. I just opened up your mind to like a billion new ideas. We are not the point of the flag is not to say, "Oh, look it, like we are just celebrating men kissing men, period." No. We're celebrating men kissing men because if you were to kiss another man 500 years ago, you'd be fucking stoned to death. Because if you were to kiss a man and try to marry him before 2007 or 2009, guess what? You'd be denied by the judge, told to turn around in the courtroom. Because if you were to kiss another man, guess what? You're going to be outcasted by your religion and your family, and you're going to be called a product of the devil that represents all in which is wrong in this world. You know what I mean? And even on top of that, like I want that point to be driven home. And I watched this on a Jubilee episode. It was that guy on the right. He was like anti-LGBTQ plus, and he was debating LGBTQ plus advocates on like Pride, and he brought up the fact that he thinks that Pride is inherently sexual, and that claim's false. Pride is not inherently sexual. Pride is just simply advocating for the inclusivity of all, regardless of their sexual orientation.
But do you think that pride parades and a lot of the things that have been associated with pride events have involved a lot of nudity and sexual content in that respect?
Absolutely not. I've never been to a pride parade where I've seen somebody that's naked. Okay. And by the way, I also want to point out that there's actually a lot of protests that involve being naked for some reason. Like for instance, like I'm sure that there's somebody that could educate this on me. Like over in Europe specifically, there's a lot of like protests to like fight against systemic forms of systemic forms of oppression, which does involve like individuals that don't wear shirts. I bet there's a good reason for it, but no, I don't see that involved with like pride parades on average. I don't see that at all. And what I will say is if there is naked individuals like at a public pride parade, like no, children shouldn't be there. I agree with that. And I think everybody agrees with that. And I don't think that young children are being exposed to naked gay people. I think that's just like Republican propaganda.
Instead of associating it with the entirety of pride in general, why don't you associate it with the individual? Like, for example, at sport events, people, right, will streak, right, sometimes on the field, right? That's not representative of the
and they
sport.
get banned
Wait,
from
please.
stadiums for doing that.
I understand it, and that's not representative.
Like, that's terrible.
Can I please finish my point? I've been very respectful, and I would like to just be able to finish the point, right? So you wouldn't say that the sport in of itself, right, is responsible for someone doing that. You would blame the person who did that. Similarly, you should blame the people who are doing that, not pride in of itself. It makes no sense to blame the event.
And then also, how is this being shown to young children? I just the original
So
topic was about young children.
the reason this started was I was saying that I don't believe that young children should be exposed to things about sexuality at a young age.
Like what
My
specifically? Can you please be
example,
specific?
my example is having teachers be allowed to put gay pride flags in the classrooms, which if kids are not raised in a family that they're aware of what that is, then it forces the question to be asked almost because kids are naturally curious. That teacher is doing that in a way that is obviously leading because no kid's just going to be like,
Can you please tell me how
oh,
a pride flag is sexual? I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
even if it's not sexual, it's still about sexuality.
Okay, so once again,
Sexuality.
I'll go ahead and repeat this once again. The pride flag is not about sexuality. It's about an expression of diversity in sexuality and advocating.
But do you think
an
that the average
advocation for
person,
inclusivity. Then, like, also, I want to make it clear, like as it relates to children and an understanding of the LGBTQ plus community, it's just seriously that some people could have a mom and a dad, and that's fine. Some people could have two dads, and that's fine, and some people could have two moms, and that's fine. Like, I'm telling you, like, the last thing that a child thinks of when they look at a pride flag is sex, sexuality, or anything related to sexuality, and all to do with just an expression of diversity in the human experience. Okay? Kids, young kids, oh my God. Christian! With a goddamn Zeus! Holy fuck, Christian! I'm sorry. That threw me off. Actually, I'm not sorry because holy fuck, W Christian down below in the chat for the goddamn damn Zeus. That is nuts. That is crazy. I only want to see W Christians down below in that chat for at least the next 15 minutes for the Zeus, dude. Holy shit. Thank you so much for the love, Christian. That was so incredibly kind of you. Everybody, spam W Christian down below in the chat while I get back to the debate with Gabby.
As well as W Sid's in the chat. W Sid.
That was seriously so incredibly kind of you. Huge shout out to Christian for the Zeus. But anyways, Gabby, like the last thing that young children are going to be thinking about when they look at a straight couple is sex. So why do you think the first thing young children will think about when they look at a gay couple is sex?
I was muted. I didn't say anything about looking at a gay couple.
Wait, so you think that the pride flag expresses more sexuality than a gay couple? How?
No, I'm saying that it starts a conversation that I don't think is appropriate
how can
for
fabric
children.
express more sexuality than like a couple? All right,
It's not the fabric, it's the symbolism
yeah,
of
like
what
if a couple isn't going to
conversation
express
starts.
sexuality to children, obviously fucking fabric won't either, right?
Okay, so what about the burning of
And wait, you said that it starts
Israeli flags or the flag of Israel?
Pivot.
Is that
You
like
said that. Sorry, man. The state of Israel is actively committing war crimes with arrest warrants out for Benjamin Netanyahu by like 2 international courts, and they've been ethnically cleansing the Palestinians. Killed over 54,000 innocent Palestinians in places like churches, hospitals, and schools in like the last 2 years. Are gay people committing an ethnic cleansing? Are gay? Do all gay people have a warrant out for their arrest from the international court? I don't think so. So don't make an irrelevant connection. I'm going to get back to what I was saying, though. You said that you don't like the idea of hanging up the pride flag in a classroom because it will start bad conversations. What are the bad conversations that it will start?
What is that? What is a gay person? Why does that have to be a conversation with elementary school children?
Because it's important for elementary school children to understand inclusivity. So then young children who have gay parents aren't bullied because of the fact that they have gay parents. And as soon as they start to develop some sense of their own sexuality and developing crushes around the 2nd grade, young children, that have, attractions that are different than that of straight children, are able to understand that and acknowledge that, just like the straight children, are not be bullied for it. I mean,
young kids are future adults.
I don't disagree with you that kids should not be bullied, or that I don't agree with the bullying if your parents are gay.
And the way that we decrease the likelihood of that happening is teaching that some people have a mom and a dad, some people have 2 dads, and some people have 2 moms. Super fucking clear. But the moment we start to say, well, we could talk about moms and dads. Okay, we've done that forever. You take no issue with that. But we can't talk about 2 dads or 2 moms. Okay, that just ensures that we have young children in the school system that are like gleefully ignorant to a third of the population, and ignorance develops prejudice. Ignorance develops hate. Ignorance develops bigotry, and that hate, prejudice, and bigotry is materialized and been in between young children through bullying.
But I really do not think, and this is from experience, just because you don't know about something doesn't mean that it's going to make you prejudice against it later on.
Oh, it absolutely
does. You can be unaware of something that exists.
Wait, Gabby, we're very certain that giving this information to people when they're younger, right, reduces the likelihood of them being bigots, right? And if it does that, well, then that's going to be a positive outcome for society. You want to reduce bigotry in our society, right?
God, that's a good question.
What is your definition of bigotry, though?
Yeah,
I would like to be very aware of what you specifically think it is.
Yeah, we're typically going to be referring to prejudice or some type of hatred, right, towards a marginalized community.
So would I be part of a marginalized community because I'm Hispanic and a female?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Intersectionality.
So who determines what prejudiced against me is? You or me?
What? Reality? All we're just doing is describing it.
No.
Well, so like yeah,
But
reality
who
would
can
determine.
describe it? The person who
So
is
like
experiencing it, or the person?
reality would determine the prejudice. Okay, just like if something fits the definition of prejudice, just like an unjustified opinion and or action and or set of beliefs held against an individual or a group of individuals based upon a shared characteristic, that is definitionally speaking prejudice. Anything that fits that definition is prejudice. Okay, right? However, like typically individuals in which would exist in marginalized communities are going to significantly better understand what fits that definition compared to individuals that don't exist in marginalized communities. But I wanted to ask you a question because you said educated in our youth will not reduce those bigotries and prejudice when they grow up. So 350 years ago, it was very typical for white people to think that phrenology is true, that black individuals have different skull shapes than white individuals with dimples in the back of it that make them more submissive and that make white individuals more dominant, right? So why
Vaguely
doesn't
heard of that, and
so can we agree that that was a very typical belief that was held 350 years ago?
I don't know about typical, but obvious. I mean,
It was
I
very
don't
typical.
agree with that. That's
Phrenology.
ridiculous.
Phrenology was very typical. Can we just agree?
Okay, sure.
Okay, then can we
Yes.
agree that that's not a typical belief to hold today?
Yes,
Why is that?
because it's not taught.
So are you saying that like you are going to increase the prevalence of a view if it is taught, and you're going to decrease the prevalence of a view if it's not taught?
Right? Not just because phrenology is no longer taught. However, it's also because we're actively taught starting at a young age that it's not true. Right? And we're not like telling
I
kids.
don't think most
like,
people were told that it wasn't true. I just think it was
Yeah, you were.
not
You were.
something
You no
taught.
no you were you were told that it's not true. Okay, via education about the equality of individuals based upon the races. And now there's no difference between white individuals and black individuals. Okay, right? And like there's a shit ton of racist beliefs which are still so incredibly prevalent in society, and phrenology is, and a smaller portion of society, and it has been demonstrated in different ways, such as believing that black individuals have thicker blood than white individuals, just like racism consequential of supposed differences in a biological reality which don't actually exist. But my point is that yes, education can play a key role in reducing the amount of bigotry, phobias, and prejudice that exist in society.
I just don't think it needs to be brought up.
Because you're a bigot yourself.
Well, why do you think it doesn't need to be brought up? Because it's not a problem that we need to address in society?
Because you address things when they're age appropriate.
Is
Well,
it,
when
And
is
I
it
don't
age
think
appropriate? Actually,
anything
let me ask that
relating.
question. When is it age appropriate?
yeah, when is it age appropriate to tell somebody that some people have a mom and a dad, and some people have two dads, and some people have two moms? When is
I
it
think
age
it's a
appropriate to tell somebody
conversation
that?
that their parents should
That wasn't
decide
the
what
question
age
that was
is
asked.
appropriate.
That
When is
wasn't the
it age
question that was asked.
appropriate?
I would say after middle school, it's a fine conversation to have. Some people's parents let them date, so that's
So in high
fine.
school, so once they get to high school, then you can be like, some people have, right, two dads and some people have
Well,
two
because
moms.
you're not
Isn't that a bit
influencing
late? Like,
children in high
isn't
school
that
as
a
much
bit
as
late
like
to start learning about the fact that people have some people have two dads and two moms?
Yeah, can you tell me
Wait,
what's?
can you repeat that?
Just tell us what's inappropriate about somebody in like third grade learning that some people have two dads and two moms.
Because it's never just saying, "Oh, some people have two dads and two moms."
Wait,
Okay,
if it's
It
just
leads
saying
into the
that,
questions.
wait, if it's just saying that there's two dads and two moms for some people, right? Is it okay for like say 6-year-olds?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Wait.
Can you tell me why not?
Is it okay to tell 6-year-olds that some people have a mom and a dad?
I guess I don't
So why is it age
have a
appropriate?
problem with that.
So why is it age appropriate to
question.
tell 6-year-olds that some people have a mom and a dad, but not that some people have two moms or two dads?
No matter how I say my opinion, it's gonna get backlash. So I'd rather just
No, just tell us. Just tell us.
plead the
What is
fifth on that.
what is the reason why you apply this in the case in which we're talking about gay couples, but not in the case where we're talking about straight couples?
Or even just like split households. Some people just have a mom. Some people just have a dad.
like divorced.
Yeah.
You're saying, or like somebody
So
passed.
why is it appropriate to teach about just having a mom, just having a dad, or having a mom and a dad, but not age appropriate to talk about two moms or two dads?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of when I was a child and how many questions were asked as soon as you were like, oh, well, where do babies come from and how does that happen? And then you go into if somebody's in a gay relationship, they're not able to have children naturally. They can do in vitro, which causes another conversation that's a whole snowball that I don't
Wait, wait,
think is
wait.
a
Can
good thing.
a conversation can be started about where babies come from, consequential of saying that some people have two dads, or saying that some people have a mom and a dad, or saying that some people just have a dad. What? Like, you understand that conversations about where babies come from can be started via like any of those, any of those family
Mm-hmm.
dynamics. And then if a kid is smart enough to deduce that babies come from like mommies and daddies, I think it is okay to have an age appropriate conversation about how that happens. For the most part, birds and the bees. Maybe until they start like getting to the age of puberty.
Yeah, what we're saying is the same time you think it's okay to talk about straight stuff is the same time it's okay to talk about gay stuff, and that's simply all it is. That's simply all it is.
Right? But there's not going to be a distinction between how these conversations can be started if you're teaching kids about
I
having a
think
mom and a
I
dad or having two
also,
moms. So why would you only uphold this sentiment as it relates to two moms, but not as it relates to moms and dads?
because I personally think it's just not.
See, you
I,
can't explain it
I'm,
because
no,
it's
I can. I
inexplainable
just don't want to
prejudice.
be disrespectful to, I don't know, whoever's in this video watching.
Bro, just
I'm
say
not
it.
going
Just
to
say
be
it. Just
If you
say
hurting
if you
it.
don't want to be disrespectful, why do you hold the view?
because it's my personal view. I don't
I
have to,
I
I
understand,
can
but you
hold
just
a
acknowledge that
personal
it's a
view
disrespectful
that's
personal view.
different than somebody else and not, project my personal view because I know it could hurt somebody else.
Yeah, but
I
if
could
you
think
agree that it's
somebody
a
is ugly, but I'm not
disrespectful,
going to tell them they're ugly. But I'm allowed to think they're ugly.
I'm going to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. Good luck.
if you agree that
Yeah,
it's,
I just.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Parker. No,
Go
can
ahead.
you can finish your thought?
No. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, do you think like Disney films, like Cinderella and stuff like that, are also inappropriate because they expose children to sexuality, but in this case, heteronormative sexuality?
I didn't really watch a lot of typical stuff when I was younger, to be honest. So
No, but you know that
I've
children
never thought of
generally.
that.
Yeah, but you know that generally women, like children, are exposed to that, right? Like children's movies generally often do feature like heterosexual love stories, whether it is like the prince and the princess falling in love. You got Princess and the Frog, you got Cinderella, you got Shrek. Like so many different children's movies always include that, right? So if we truly did believe that children should not be exposed to sexuality, then heterosexual romance would also be completely off limits within children's films.
Like I said, I have not thought much about that, but I also don't plan to let my kids have
Well,
tech
now that
until
you've
they're
thought about
older
it.
or
Wait, no.
anything like that.
Now that you've thought about it, do you
Hmm.
think that, let's say, a film like Cinderella or The Little Mermaid are inappropriate for children? Do you think like you would never let your child watch The Little Mermaid?
Um, I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
don't think I will have I truly don't want my kids having technology until they're at least in middle school.
but I'm not asking you about technology, right? You could watch it together
TV,
as a family.
TV, movies, technology. I was allowed to watch 1 hour of shows or TV when I was
Would you
little,
let
and
your
it made
kids
me,
watch any movies at all?
yeah, once in a while.
Okay, once in a while, when they did watch those movies, would you be okay with them watching movies that had straight relationships within them?
Yeah, like The Little Mermaid. Would you be okay with your child watching The Little Mermaid when they do watch a film?
Sure.
Okay,
Probably
so
not,
but within the
honestly.
little.
I'd rather just let them watch um like Animal Planet documentaries or something that's educational rather than wasting their time with Disney stuff that I don't agree with.
No,
Because
but
wasn't
you.
he like um a Nazi or something too?
So your kids are
Like,
only going to
isn't
watch
the
Animal
whole
Planet?
foundation of Disney absolutely terrible?
Wait, but then if that were the case, why don't you advocate against Disney films too, though? Because I only see you like advocating against like usually people who talk about like we need to protect the children. They only always talk about like queer identities, but they never really talk about like Disney films. They never talk about books and cartoons. Because even when you say cartoons, it could include that. Even when you talk about like animal-based cartoons, they also do include romance from time to time, right? So I never see
Yeah,
people like
that's
that focus.
unnecessary in my opinion. I don't think little kids need to be watching stuff like that. I don't even think little kids should be watching TV.
So
It's
then you
terrible for
think,
their brain.
so you think then Little Mermaid, Cinderella, all these films should also be banned? What would be the age limit for a
What?
person to watch The
What
Little
the
Mermaid?
hell?
I don't think
I got.
banned, but I think it should be a
I have a
parent's.
perfect thing for her.
Before you
So,
run that, can
how
I
about
ask
how
you one
about how about?
question?
I
Go
think
ahead.
it should be a parent's decision on what
hey,
they
Gabby,
should be exposed to.
Gabby, I just have like a question that requires a one-word answer. Okay.
Hmm.
What the fuck? If like you had a daughter, what would you expect
Hmm.
her to dress up as for Halloween from the ages of like 3 to like 12?
I don't celebrate Halloween like that.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Go ahead, Barger.
Yeah. So how about plays? Would you take your kids to plays?
Maybe like Christmas Carol, stuff like that.
Okay. And if the Christmas Carol had within it, right, like a straight family, right, or a straight two straight parents, right, and a kid showing that type of relationship, would you be okay with that?
I would more than likely, yes, be all right with a straight relationship over a gay relationship.
Okay. Why? Why is it specifically bad in the context of it being a gay relationship?
It just tends to end up being more sexual.
How is it more sexual? Like how? So if they do the same actions, right? If it's the same movie, right, and it's just the only difference is that the characters, right, within the movie, right, are within a gay relationship comparative to being within a straight relationship. Otherwise, they do the same actions. How is it more sexual?
It's because you sexualize gay people more than you do straight people.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Why are you sexualizing gay people more?
I'm not.
So okay, if you're not, then how are they more sexual? By if it's the same actions.
I'm not talking about. Back to my original point. I am not talking about sexual, like porn. I'm talking about sexuality. Like
Straight is a
gay,
sexuality.
trans, straight, blah
So
blah blah.
so if there's a straight relationship, you're
Not
also
the
referencing
act of
sexuality.
sex.
Okay.
Not the act of sex.
I have a question.
Sexuality.
So this is hypothetical because I'm straight, but hypothetically, you're attracted to a man. Why would that be less sexual than me being attracted to a man?
I'm not talking about. That was never my point.
Your
It
point
was.
is
I just-
sexuality.
You just said that gay couples are more
Yeah,
sexual than straight
sexuality,
couples.
like
Yeah, but you're kind of
trans
like
people's
proving, yeah,
sexuality and
but you're
being
kind of
confused
proving
about
here.
sexuality, or being bi curious and then not end up being actually bi. You just were around it so much you question things.
Yeah, but the thing is
Those
like
type
your
of things.
issue, yeah, but your issue here is not sexuality as like you've proven. Your issue is which sexuality. Because if your issue were sexuality, you would not have wanted like children to even be a kind of like you wouldn't want children to go to weddings. Ban children from weddings because they're seeing like like a heteronormative couple, right? If they're at the wedding, you wouldn't want children to go to plays. You wouldn't want children to know about Mary and Joseph if you teach them about the Bible because Mary and Joseph are also a couple, right? So you wouldn't want children to be exposed to any relationships if you're talking about banning like sexualities in general being inappropriate for children. But the thing is, you don't have an issue with sexuality. You have an issue with which sexuality.
I have an issue with
Exactly.
confusing children.
Wait, how is it
and
confusing
exposing
children?
them
Whoa,
to
whoa, whoa,
things that are not appropriate
the only way to
at proper
confuse children
ages.
is if the only way that you could genuinely confuse young children is when you perpetuate a heteronormative society.
Yes.
Okay. Like if we were to like preach inclusivity, like teach that there is differences and like, oh, who you may have a crush on or family structures and dynamics and whatnot, but we only push a heteronormative society, guess what? You are now going to leave around a third of children very confused when they start to develop attractions and they're crushing on individuals that their parents, their teachers, society as a whole are telling them that they shouldn't be crushing on. Like, that's going to confuse the fuck out of them, okay? If you don't want to confuse children, preach inclusivity and have these conversations that, yes, there is dynamics of relationships and families outside of men and women.
How does it confuse you that gay people exist? Like, I just like and like literally have their sexuality. How does that confuse you?
Doesn't confuse me.
I have a question. Are you going to be...
If it doesn't confuse you,
At the
who is
end
it
of the
confusing?
day,
Hey, I have a
truly
confusing.
believe-
Is calculus more or less confusing the more you're educated on it?
I would say more confusing the more you're educated on it.
Okay, you're
because
trolling.
you get into
You're
harder
trolling.
levels.
No. Just let's take derivatives. Are derivatives more or less confusing the more you're educated on derivatives?
Oh, less, 100%.
Right. So the more you're educated on something, the less it confuses you. Huh. What could that possibly imply to our conversation about if we should educate our youth on the LGBTQ plus community in an age-appropriate way?
That was actually a really good point, Dean.
That
Do you
I think in an
this-
age appropriate way, I agree with that. I agree with that. That's fine. But do you think that it should be by parents, or do you think it should be by people outside of the house?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
what
curriculum
point
in
do you
public
think
school.
parents should be-
Curriculum in public school. Do it. Yeah, take it away. We trust them with math, science, biology, history, geography. Let's trust them with this as well. It's fine by me.
Okay, so
Also,
what about
like,
people that choose
also-
to not enroll their children in public school? Do you think that they should still have to pay school tax?
That has to do with absolutely nothing that we're discussing. I got to thank a couple people.
I'm just
sorry. I
curious.
haven't thanked these individuals. Yes, I do.
But
I do think that.
I
Jennifer,
Dean is doing
appreciate
that.
the insight.
Wait, Gabby, while
what
Dean is
you
doing
guys
that,
have.
please look at this very inappropriate photo while Dean is doing that.
Oh, dude, that's the devil right there. Jennifer, thank you so much for the $100
I
over on
don't like
Venmo.
Disney.
Thank you so much
I
for the
really-
love, Jennifer. Let's get 1,000 Jennifer W's down below in that comment section because Jennifer just donated $100. Jennifer says, "As an elder millennial, you give me help, my guy. Keep at it." Thank you so much for the love, Jennifer. Seriously, 1,000 W Jennifers down below in the chat. That is so much, Jennifer. That is incredibly kind of you. As well as Amber, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. And then Erica, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Shout out Amber and Erica. Erica says, "I'm a lesbian. I appreciate you using your platform to educate MAGA." Yeah, there's a lot of education that needs to happen as it relates to the LGBTQ plus community. Absolutely. And then Karen, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Karen says, "We don't have a pride flag because people are gay. It's because gay people are oppressed." Yo, preach, Karen. Holy fuck. Then Iron, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love, Iron. And then Kate, thank you so much for the $50 on Venmo. I really appreciate that. Let's get 500 W Kates. Kate says, "I was bullied relentlessly in elementary school for having two moms." Yeah. I wish it would have been taught to my classmates that there's nothing wrong with that. I was scared to have my parents pick me up from school. I never had friends over. It made growing up really hard. That is an anecdote from somebody that grew up with two moms and how it personally led to them being bullied relentlessly and ostracized from social circles. How does that make you feel, Gabby?
I feel bad for them, and I think that that's very unfortunate for a little kid to go through.
Right. Another question. Movie day at elementary school, they picked Beauty and the Beast. How do you feel?
Ooh, very inappropriate.
I just don't like Disney.
Just please
most
answer my
Disney
please
movies
answer
are
my question.
terrible.
Please answer my question. 5th grade, movie day. They're playing a movie for the students. They play the students Beauty and the Beast. Okay? The students aren't even thinking about Disney. They're just watching the movie. How do you feel about that?
Can I not let my kids go to that? Can I
Why would you
check
want to
them
prevent
out?
your children from watching Beauty and the Beast?
Actually
How
not homeschool
horrible!
my kids? So
How horrible!
Can you tell me why you'd prevent your 5th grade children from watching Beauty and the Beast at movie day at school? Like, seriously, tell me.
well, I want to homeschool my kids.
Okay, but given that they're going to public school, would you really care that much about them watching Beauty and the Beast with their buddies in 5th grade?
I would actually never send my children in public school.
Just answer the goddamn question. If you did, would you really care that much about them watching Beauty and the Beast?
Yes, I wouldn't like it.
Why not?
Because I think there's a better use of your time if you're trying to educate my child.
Okay.
Can I please
Would
ask you a
you-
different question? I have
How
a
is that
perfect question.
education?
I'm sorry,
Would
Parker. I gotta get the dunk on this really quickly.
Okay, and then right after I have a
okay.
perfect question.
Your children are chilling on a Saturday evening. You come home to dad watching Beauty and the Beast with him. How do you feel? Okay. You come home on a
Repeat that?
Saturday evening, and you come home to dad watching Beauty and the Beast with the 5th grade children. How does that make you feel?
Like my future husband or whatever?
Yeah.
He wouldn't do that.
If he did.
But it's not possible.
It's not possible for the father of your children to watch a movie with them?
I feel like she's been cornered, and because she's been cornered, now she's like, I can't admit that I was wrong.
This is so just
Therefore,
No,
I'm
this
gonna
is just
sound
chronically.
like
This is just
dumb.
chronically. This is just like chronically
I've
fucking
agreed
online.
with
This
each
is
of
so.
you.
Wait,
this
Gabby,
is so
would you-
chronically online. This
Would
is
you
just,
never
ugh.
kiss your husband, like when your children are in the room?
Good question.
No, I wouldn't.
So you would never ever show any type of PDA with your partner when your kids are in the room.
I'm still trying.
I've had conversations with him about this. I think like a hug is fine and stuff like that.
But,
I
but even a
don't think
hug, that's
that-
too.
That's rough.
Yeah,
I'm
but
still-
a hug is also inappropriate, right?
I'm still trying to get her on this point that relates to Beauty and the Beast, and I just gotta find a way because I want to make it so clear.
I have a perfect way of asking this question, actually.
Okay.
What is your point about Beauty and the Beast? Because
Are
at
you
the
are
end of
you
the
are
day,
you more okay with your
it's
5th grade
how I
daughter?
wanna raise-
Are you more okay with your 5th grade daughter watching a movie about two men being in a relationship or Beauty and a Beast?
What does two men have to do with this?
Are you more okay with your 5th grade daughter watching a movie about a gay couple or Beauty and the Beast? Just answer.
They're all bad.
Which one's worse?
I'm not gonna pick which one's
Yeah,
worse.
oh, you better answer this goddamn question, Gabby.
But just because, but at the end,
Nah,
of the
you better
debate,
answer the
if
question,
I
Gabby.
don't agree, and I'm neutral on either choice being
Oh
bad.
my god. Okay, fine. Parker, I'm gonna give it up and just give the mic to you. I give up. But anyways,
I
if
have
you're
one
curious,
question after that.
If you're curious, the point that I wanted to achieve there was that she thinks that two men being together is worse than a human and an animal. But she was too dense. Take it away, Athena and Parker.
Parker, you can go first.
For sure. So, would you? Do you have a sibling?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah. So, say one of your siblings is getting married and you have children. Would you let your kids go to like your sibling's wedding?
Depending how old they are, I think kids are annoying at weddings.
So you wouldn't bring your 5-year-old or your 10-year-old to a wedding?
It depends how well behaved they are at big
If they're
events.
really well behaved.
Perhaps.
Okay, perhaps. Okay. You would have given that your sibling is straight. If your sibling is gay and they're getting married, would you let them go?
My faith would prevent me from attending.
You wouldn't even attend yourself?
Probably not.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit.
What if your child came out as gay? What would you accept them, or would you not? Would you like kick them out of the house?
No, I would always love my children.
Okay,
You
so
wouldn't
would you
always
ex-
love your sibling?
Yeah, this whole time she's been saying that she doesn't
Different
think that there's
relationship.
anything wrong with gay people. Come on. You're homophobic as fuck. You think that being gay is wrong. You don't think that gay marriage is real. And you're just probably a Christian evangelicus. Are you Catholic? Orthodox? Evangelist.
I'm Roman Catholic, yes.
Yeah, boom, boom. How did I know? How the fuck did I know? Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, you're Catholic and you think that gay marriage isn't real and you hate gay people. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, it can be a civil marriage, and if you want to do that, that's fine.
Gabby, I have an incredible question for you. Do you think that do you do communion?
No, actually, I have not, because I have not went to confession recently.
Have you ever done communion?
Yes, I've done my Holy Communion, and I've taken the Eucharist. Yes.
I have a question. Do you believe it's actually like the real body and blood of Jesus Christ?
Yes, I believe in
Yes.
transubstantiation, if that is what you are asking. Yes.
So are you a cannibal?
No.
Well, by definition,
Human parts.
and if you're drinking the blood and eating the body of Jesus Christ, who was human, right? Well, then obviously you're a cannibal then, because you're eating a human. So under your own definition, you're a cannibal?
I guess I am. Because that's been a misconception about Catholics for thousands of years.
Misconception? Well, at least you just identified that under your own definition, you're a cannibal. I asked you for the
No,
definition of
I'm
cannibal,
sa-
and it's
I'm
clearly
saying-
applicable to yourself here.
It's not, though, because it's a one-off that transubstantiation is the body and blood of Jesus Christ.
Wait, but you
Not
believed it was
symbolic,
actually. Wait, do you think it's
but-
symbolic?
No.
No, it's not
'Cause
symbolic to you, so you're
transubstantiation
actually
is-
a cannibal. So you're really a cannibal under your own view.
But I'm not under my own view, but I can understand why somebody else would
It's
perceive it
you
that
believe
way.
it's the real body and blood of Christ. You believe you're eating a human. Okay? If you're eating a human, you're a cannibal under your own definition.
I don't know who's in this, the chat. I just saw something.
Yeah, have you been to Disneyland?
Yeah, I have been to Disney.
I thought you said you
with
didn't
my
support
cousin.
Disney.
I
thought-
don't. I actually, one, didn't pay for it, but also this was prior to me being aware of how bad the guy Disney is.
Okay.
This was pre-2020, maybe? Which you're allowed to change views over the years. You're allowed to grow and change as a human being. I don't think that people should be hateful. At the end of the day,
Can
that's
you
what I'm
answer
trying
that
to say.
question though? Would you
What?
you accept and fully support your child if they were to come out as gay?
What does fully support mean? Because I
As
would
in
love
support- would you-
them unconditionally, but that does not mean that I would attend a civil marriage of theirs, and they would not be allowed to get married in the Catholic Church. So
No, I'm just saying, like, in general, in their day-to-day life, would you support your child as they continue living, like, life openly as a gay person?
yes,
But you
I'm
wouldn't.
not gonna hate somebody because
And what
of
if
that,
what
but
if they met somebody who they really, really love and they want you to get to meet that person? Would you be open to meeting them?
I would be open to meeting them. If my child was under 18 and told me that they wanted to go on hormone therapy, I would not support that. I think that would be abuse. And I don't think that's right.
Would you,
Aren't the majority of kids on hormone therapy literally cis kids, if I'm not mistaken?
Patrick, thank you for the $10 on PayPal, and then RLK, thank you for the $5 as well, and then
I
Knight for
don't
the
think
10 pounds, and
anybody
Adam,
should go
thank you
on
for the 20
hormone
and 2 super
therapy
chats.
at all. And if people go on it for like human growth, for if you're underdeveloped, I think you should just learn how to naturally supplement it. But that's just me.
You can't naturally supplement everything.
Can I ask you a question about your religious beliefs?
hmm
Yeah. Why are the Orthodox wrong? You know, like the Great Schism. What was it? 1100 AD. That's when the Orthodox Church split from the Catholic Church. They did so because the Catholics changed the Nicene Creed. Why are they
So
wrong? and why
I
are they right?
I don't disagree with Orthodox as a whole. Pretty much, I actually dated a guy who was Orthodox for a while, and considered changing rights because I believe in a lot of the things that are slightly different about Orthodox versus
You disagree with the
Catholics.
Orthodox Church because you think that the Holy Spirit flows through the Father and the Son. Meanwhile, they just think that the Holy Spirit flows through the Father. It's a pretty big theological disagreement.
But at the end of the day, it's not if you are not
It was such a
the.
big theological disagreement that it's literally called the Great Schism of 1100 AD.
But I'm saying, wait one second. Um, I'm saying for me, it's not a big thing because it doesn't affect me day to day.
Okay. What?
There's a lot of teachings in Catholicism that people who are Catholic don't um, practice.
Okay,
You're not
like
supposed to be
this
on
is.
birth control.
I was
You're
just
not
asking
supposed to
you
do
of
this,
like
this,
the
and this.
theology of the church. You know what I mean? That's like, I don't know. Sorry for asking. Maybe it's just completely irrelevant to why you're on the live. I've just been getting into the theology of like Christian denominations. It's actually pretty
So the
interesting.
theology is interesting, but if it doesn't, it's not something that I am constantly thinking about, then that's all I'm saying.
Gabby, do you believe in separation of church and state?
She's definitely a Christian nationalist. Come on.
Um, I believe in it. Do I necessarily think that it works? Because most people vote with their faith
Yeah.
and morals
So you do,
affecting their opinions.
so you do believe, or you don't
Yeah,
believe?
I do believe that there should be a separation of church and state.
Okay,
Yes.
so you do believe there should be a separation of church and state. So then,
Hmm.
who are you to say that like under the context of like public schools that like we shouldn't be able to have right like the teaching of both like of straight families and of gay families, parents, I mean, sorry.
Because I don't think it's like I just don't like public schools. So I guess that's just kind
Okay,
of
then
irrelevant.
don't
I
take your
shouldn't
kid to
have
a public
started that
school.
argument.
But in public school, it should be secular. It should not be religious based. You remember separation of church and state. This is the context of the state. If you want to teach your religion, teach it at home. If we're going to talk about the religion, I mean the school system. We're going to not use religious arguments to justify why there should be teaching of certain things comparative to others. So clearly, it seems like you have no argument for in public school it like this not being taught.
I don't
I
think
also
I do.
personally continue to respond.
That's all. I'm not going to be like F you or something like that.
I
But
gotta get in soon,
we
by the
can
way.
disagree
I
with what we think is right and wrong.
I do personally think that you're kind of like a Christian nationalist, to be fair. Because I did look through your reposts, and like your reposts are like really insane. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I gotta get
that's
towards
okay.
ending this stream. We've been
Yeah.
on for 20 minutes over. But before I do, I just want to say this to you. If you end up like raising your children in an environment where they don't have access to any leisurely entertainment or media until like high school, and you're just like the strictest parent that could ever possibly exist in every context ever, and you either end up
They can
homeschooling
play
them, just
outside.
listen, and you either end up homeschooling them or sending them to like a private Catholic school or whatnot, your children will grow up to resent you, and it will incredibly like socially stomp them, and it will be very bad for them, and it will be very bad for your relationship with them the moment they turn 18 and move out of the house or maybe go to college. And then on top of that, like it's also significantly more likely they'll take like a bad path in life, or what you may consider bad, because like typically when like high schoolers don't experience like the, oh, I want to maybe go hang out and drink with my friends once or twice, or go a little bit wild in moderation when I'm 16 for fun with my buddies, but they rather experience that very like strict and firm hold on them. Well, then they just have all of those experience all at once the moment they leave that control and move out of the house. They rebel, and they bad outcomes can happen, man. I've seen it myself firsthand. Firsthand, I saw it with a girlfriend I had in high school. Firsthand, my own dad. It happened to my own dad. It happens all of the time. And even like reflecting upon people that I went to this private Catholic school from preschool to 8th grade
Sorry.
to, even though that was like younger schooling, like still yet, most kids that went to that private Catholic school are the most atheists, like shitheads I know. I'm not gonna lie, man. It turns into resentment and rejection. It is just not a healthy way
No,
of
plenty
raising
of
a
people
child.
from my Catholic school ended up that way.
And I just wanted to let you know that, okay? Because I value the outcome of your children, and I value like the future relationship you may have with your children. I would be the happiest man ever if, you know, this like midlife crisis just hits you in the face one morning and you realize that you were wrong about nearly everything you believe, because it would lead to a significantly happier future for you and your future kids.
I think you can be strict in certain ways and like still have your kids trust and love you.
Exactly, but not strict in the ways that you've defined. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on.
It's okay.
Parker and
Maybe I'm
Athena, do you
wrong.
guys have
Perhaps
anything
one
else that
day.
you want to bring up to the guests?
Nope.
No.
Okay, all right. We're going to go ahead and kick her. And we're done with the debates for the night.
Thank you.
Athena,
Bye.
I appreciate you for coming up, and I hope that you're doing well.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, the thing you told me a couple days ago got removed. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
Remember the link you sent me?
Yeah, that got removed?
The OG poster removed it. Apparently.
I wonder why.
Apparently, like, I wonder why. Yeah. Just wanted to say
Maybe
that.
they woke up to their senses.
No, literally. Anyways, bye, y'all.
See you, Athena. I
Good
appreciate
seeing you.
you
Good seeing
joining
you.
me.